what's something funny or quirky you'll learn to say in a different language?
Oh, it's a dangerous question.
A very dangerous one.
Happy New Year and welcome back to the Radio Vagabond. Yeah, we're finally back. My name is Palabo and today we're kicking off a brand new season. I have so much to share with you in this year. You'd better strap in because I got recordings from my trips to Syria, Iceland, Togo, New Zealand, Peru, Scotland, Lebanon, Ghana, Wales, Belize, Argentina, Thailand, Fargo, Chile, Egypt, Vancouver, and so many other exciting destinations. But I also have some interview episodes that I'll share with you. And recently I was in Bangkok for the Extraordinary Travel Festival, an event that brought together some of the world's most fascinating travelers. Here I had a chance to sit down with people who had explored places and lived experiences that'll blow your mind. Even if your travel ambitions are more laid back, I think you'll enjoy their stories, just like I enjoy hearing about Mount Everest, even though I'll never climb it myself. And today, we're doing a roundtable discussion with 4 incredible young travelers who have embraced the world in ways I never did in my 20s. While I only started my nomadic journey after turning 50, they're already living a life on the road, each in their unique way. They're exploring countries I only dreamed of in their age, connecting with different cultures and pushing boundaries I didn't even know were there. Joining me are Adam Ryan from Ireland.
Yeah, it was just a really cool experience. And then the days after, we were going around to his friends' houses and they were having parties. And I didn't really think that Indian people drank alcohol. They were going wild and I was really surprised by that.
Cameron Mofid from the US and Iran, who started an NGO in Nigeria.
I organized a fundraiser. It was supposed to be a small thing with some friends. And we got very lucky. A professional basketball player had found the fundraiser online and donated $45,000.
Andriel Viana Souza from Brazil, who moved to France at a very young age.
I think that was the point when I found out that not only I could change states in Brazil, but I could also change from one country to the other easily and adapt.
And Ricky James, who's fully nomadic with a US and a UK passport.
And I go to the toilet and I put everything down my pants.
Jackets on.
Yeah, jackets on.
You come looking like the Michelin Man.
Yeah, exactly. Like ready to blow the plane up on his seats.
They've done and seen a lot. And they each bring a different perspective to what it means to live a life on the road. In this episode, we'll dive into their travel stories, find out what drives them, and maybe even learn a bit about how this generation sees the world. I'll be getting them to share some of their wildest tales and talk about their challenges, lessons, and joy of making the world their playground in such a young age. You're in for a treat. Get ready to hear some fascinating insights from these seasoned young travelers. My name is Palabo, and this is the Radio Vagabond, how young explorers see the globe differently.
Meet Palabo, a full-time traveler and digital nomad from Denmark on an epic journey around the world. This is the Radio Vagabond.
Hi guys, let's just warm up the vocal cords and get to know each other with some quick-fire questions. Okay, what's one small travel habit or ritual you have, whether it's a favorite snack, a lucky charm, or something you do before a flight? Cameron?
I can start, I guess. So I have my lucky sweatshirt. That's, I guess, the one thing I have. It's been with me to more than 100 countries. And I always wear it for every single flight.
Okay.
Yeah, it's, I don't know. It's my thing.
I always, before flights, I get very anxious. I don't really enjoy them. And
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think that...
Should be getting used to them by now.
I've taken so many, but it's more just to prepare for trying to sleep.
Yeah.
And to have everything... I travel, I think we were all discussing this before. Everyone has big checked baggage. I travel very light with a small one that
I
fits
wish
under
I
the
could
seat.
do that.
I always get into trouble with immigration. I always get They always ask me to weigh my baggage. There's always it never goes smoothly for me. So I
That
always
is
dread.
interesting because I have a check bag because I got so much gear with me. So I need to have a check bag. And then on top of that, I have 2 carry-on bags and they're both too heavy. One is technically the personal item, but they're both too heavy. I never have any problems. I had it once where I needed to get rid of some old T-shirts in order. I should have worn them and then just taken them off.
This is the solution now, because a few times they've asked me, like, you're in the line about to board the flight, and they're like, you, and then they single me out, and they're like, put your bag on the scales. And so then I put my bag, and they're like, no, it's not 5 kilograms or 7 kilograms, it's like 25 or 30. And so then I'm like, okay, I need to quickly go to the toilet. And I go to the toilet, and I put everything down my pants.
Jackets on.
Yeah, jackets on. You know,
And you come looking like the Michelin Man.
exactly, like ready to blow the plane up, honestly. It's, I have a little life hack too, where I have one of those small drawstring bags, and I put that on, and then I wear a hoodie overwards, so it just looks like I have a really bad hunchback.
Okay.
Well, but
Another question is, what's something funny or quirky you learned to say in a different language?
Oh,
It's a dangerous question.
Very dangerous one.
I'm pretty bad with languages. I must admit, like, I can even speak Irish. It's a very hard language to understand and learn. So so it's quite difficult. I tried to learn a little bit, but I struggle. But in Central America, I'd done some Spanish classes.
Yeah,
and just to get by, because Central America is a lot harder to get by than Southeast Asia. It's a lot of people don't speak English. But yeah, I'm pretty bad with the languages.
But not a funny sentence where it's so random.
Yeah, no, only like curse words in different languages or phrases, but none that are just Andrew's the language king. You speak what?
I can speak some languages, yes.
He speaks like what, how many?
Like 5, 6
Yeah.
languages.
Wow.
But I mean, I can say some naughty things, but naughty phrases, it's harder.
I don't think you can get any clean responses.
Which are the 6 languages?
So Portuguese, English, French, Spanish, and then some Russian, German, and Italian.
Wow.
Did you say Finnish?
No, German.
Okay,
English,
okay, because
Italian.
I was like,
no,
what?
Finnish. No, I'm not that crazy.
Travel is possible at any age. Your sense of adventure is just over the horizon. So, reach out and grab it.
Okay, let me turn to you, Adam. You're an ambitious young traveler with an impressive track record in such a young age. You grew up in a family that preferred the usual holiday spots. How did you break away from that and become this world traveler?
I don't really know. My dad worked for Aer Lingus, which is Ireland's national airline.
That helps.
Yeah, but they always went to the same kind of typical places everyone goes in Ireland. So
Where's that?
Spain, America, and we have family in Canada, but that would be the extent of which we go on holidays. I think when I moved, I lived in Florida for a while, and I spent when I was working with people, they were from all different countries and cultures, and I had a lot of South African friends, and they were telling me all about the stories about like South Africa, and then I had people from the Philippines working with them as well. And then when I was kind of exposed to this, I was like, wow, I want to go to all these places. And then when I left America, that kind of sparked me to go and just try see the world.
Yeah. And I know that you mentioned that India has been a very life-changing trip for you. Can you share some memorable moments from when you were in India?
Yeah. So other than the countless battles with the toilet, it was. I think we spent because I traveled with my girlfriend. We went to Calcutta with our friend lives there, and we spent Diwali with his family. And it was a really cool experience. We spent like 3 nights in his house, and they brought us around to like his family's home, like his parents or his grandparents, and they were just constantly feeding us like so much. I was exhausted with masala by the end. I was so done.
It's good though, but you get to a point where okay, now I need a pizza.
Yeah, curry for breakfast isn't you can only do it for so long. And then, but yeah, that was definitely one of the best travel experiences I've ever had. Just and they were bringing us out into their parking lot, and they were just shooting firecrackers everywhere, it was just a really cool experience. And then the days after, we were going around to his friends' houses, and they were having parties, and I didn't really think that Indian people drank alcohol. They were going wild and I was really surprised by that. And it was just such a cool experience to see what it's like in a festival in a foreign country.
Yeah, I really want to go to the Colour Festival.
Oh, holy.
Yeah.
It looks amazing.
I did that in Kolkata.
Oh, really?
Actually, back in 2019.
Oh, wow. I'd say that was amazing. I really want to go.
It's a fantastic place.
Yeah, you get fine colors, paint in your ears and everything for weeks after.
Yeah, absolutely. You could find it a month later. Like.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So have any of you guys been to India?
I just came from India. I was there for 10 days. I went with my Singaporean Indian friend, and then we did Diwali in his family's house in Kuala Lumpur.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, in Malaysia, his extended family.
Yeah, there's a lot of Indian people in Malaysia.
Yeah,
the diaspora.
10% of Malaysia's population, or at least KL, is Indian.
Yeah. But India in general can be very intense, so many people either hate it or love it.
I'm both. I really hate a lot of things about it, but I really love a lot of things about it. So there's so many good things, and there's so many things where I'm like, this is tough.
And you get stopped on the street a lot. And that's, to me, that's like, okay, leave me alone.
Yeah. I went up to Amritsar and I found it was a totally different vibe. Like people nobody would come up to you. And
where was that?
Amritsar.
Okay.
Yeah, up in Punjab.
Oh.
And I found people were just totally different there. There wasn't as many tourists, I feel, so you weren't as much seen as a, like, you know, when they want to get you to buy things, and it wasn't really like that at all.
Yeah. Andriel, you have lived in multiple countries already, and you're now based in Sydney, right?
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, but by the age of 16, you'd already moved 7 times within Brazil, and then you moved to France.
Exactly. Yeah.
That must have been a big shift.
It was the biggest shift of my life at that point. And it was just great. I always embraced, I think, the fact of making new friends, going to new schools, new houses, new environment, and moving to a new country, learning a new language. Everything was new. I just wanted to get to know a new place. I think that was the point when I found out that not only I could change states in Brazil, but I could also change from one country to the other easily and adapt.
Yeah.
Yes, I really liked it. I saw my siblings wanting to go back to Brazil, missing their friends, but I was like, no, I want to stay here. I want to make new friends. I want to meet a new culture, and it was the biggest moment of my life, I think, the moment I arrived in France.
Yeah. And you've also, in your travels, gone to some places that many people typically avoid, like Afghanistan. Can you tell me a little bit about what motivated you to go there?
I think it's this curiosity to visit places that most people just think it's dangerous or try to avoid or try to maybe never think as a touristic destination. So I think it also gives this particular feel when you get to these countries where people are not used to tourists. So they are more welcoming to you. They want to understand why you came there, what you want to see there.
Yeah.
And I think it's a very enriching experience to get to know these people, to talk to them, to go to their houses, that have their food, drink with them, and understanding better culture that for us in the West is very unknown, very unusual, and I just love it. I just love going to countries like this.
As a solo traveler, solo backpacker, how do you get to meet people? Is it all about doing couch surfing at hostels and meeting people that way?
Yes, hostel, couch surfing in the street. Sometimes you just get stalked by someone, or just go to a place, to a bar, to a restaurant, and people come to talk to you, and that's how you make friends.
Yeah. You have a goal to visit every country in the world before you turn 30.
Exactly.
Remind me again, how old are you now?
I'm 26.
And how many have you done so far?
So I'm at 76 now.
Okay. There's still a lot out there.
It's still a lot, yeah. It's going to get a lot faster now.
Yeah. Don't make it too fast, because that's been my experience. Sometimes I travel so fast that I don't appreciate. And if I go to a place and I say, "Oh, what do you mean? I need to walk 1 kilometer to see a waterfall?" I've seen something similar, and that would be a crime if that happened to me in New Zealand. So I need to stay hungry and slow down sometimes. So I try to do this interval sprint where I go fast and then stay put for a while.
I'm like that as well.
Yeah.
I feel like I get burnt out after like 2-3 months. I'm like, I need like just some time to just relax, go to the gym, go for just walks and have coffee and just go back to reset.
Yeah. I remember I was in El Salvador after having traveled quite fast through Costa Rica and all of that. And then all of a sudden I was at this beautiful, stunning surf city. In fact, they had the World Championship of surfing while I was there.
El Tunco, is it?
Tunco, yeah.
El Tunco, yeah.
And I wasn't feeling it. And I thought, why? I told myself, come on, enjoy yourself. This is why you travel. This place has got everything that you travel for, and I wasn't appreciating it.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, now I need to slow down. So I found a place in the mountain and went there and did nothing for 2 weeks and slowly got my hunger back and said, okay, now I'm ready again.
Yeah, I feel like that's what I'm like when I just come back from India and I'm in Thailand now. Yeah. I've been here for 2 weeks and I haven't done much. I went to Kanchanaburi on a day trip. Yeah. But that will give me some time to reset and get that hunger back again.
Yeah, yeah. When we come back, we're going to hear more about this whole thing about going to every country in the world. We're going to hear more from Cameron and from Ricky. We'll be right back.
Hotels25.com. They say it's that friend we all have.
Oh, you mean the friend that like messages you out of the blue?
Yes.
With like a crazy flight deal?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The idea is that it's trying to replicate their feeling of having like almost like a personal travel agent.
Right. So it's like having your travel-savvy friend programmed to actually care about your preferences.
That's the idea. And like you feed it your dates, your destination, and then it just kind of gets to work and scours the internet.
So hotels25.com wants to be our new travel BFF, hopefully without like the awkward moments.
Right. Hotels25.com. Make sure you're getting the best deal.
This is the Radio Vagabond podcast.
Next, we got Cameron. He combines his love of travel with a philanthropical side, running a non-profit called Human Effect. Being a philanthropic, isn't that something that billionaires do? Are you rich?
No, not at all. All of our donations have come from really wonderful people who have supported us. I founded Humanity Effect about 20 months ago now.
Yeah,
a little bit more. Yeah, well, almost 2 years. Nigeria was my 115th country, and I visited Makoko. It's a heavily overpopulated water slum, which is kind of hard to conceptualize for people that haven't seen a water slum before. But all the homes, all the buildings are built in stilts into the lagoon.
Yeah,
and there's canals essentially filled with sewage water. Of the 115 countries I'd been to, it was the single worst poverty I'd seen in Makoko. So I organized a fundraiser, was supposed to be a small thing with some friends, and we got very lucky. A professional basketball player had found the fundraiser online and donated $45,000 to the fundraiser. So I said, okay, with this kind of serious money, let me put something together that's a little bit more sustainable, a little bit more structured.
That's a big trust on you.
Yeah, it was. And the thing is, he never contacted me. He just dropped in $45,000 and disappeared.
Was that on like a GoFundMe or something?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Kyrie Irving. He's
Kyrie Irving.
Kyrie Irving, yeah. He's a very famous NBA player. And
how did he hear about it?
I have no idea. He had done this sort of thing before, where he pops into GoFundMe and donates like $15,000, $20,000, $100,000. So I formed the organization. I called it Humanity Effect because I liked the idea of our humanity affecting others to inspire change. And we funded the current school in Makoko at the time that I visited, which was totally underfunded. No school uniforms, no shoes. The teachers hadn't been paid. Very difficult access to clean drinking water. So we built a borehole. Yeah. And then we just finished our second school over summer, and we opened in September. So now we have 750 students under our care. We have an orphanage of 40 students living there. And it's going well.
If any other wealthy NBA players or billionaires are listening, are you still looking for more funds?
Yeah, of course. We can always do more with more funds. That's, I think, one of the most difficult parts of having an NGO is learning how to ask people for money, because that's not an easy thing, especially friends or people that you think can help. But yeah, it's just been overwhelming to see the amount of support that we've gotten. We've had even volunteers reach out to me over Instagram. Just people say, hey, I love what you're doing, I want to go. Yeah. So we've had people stay for a couple months that I haven't met. Both of them have actually been South American. We had one Brazilian and one Colombian. And that was really, really awesome, because we didn't have a structured program for them. So they just kind of came and were very fearless and living in Lagos. These are people that had not traveled to places like this before. So, yeah, it's been fantastic.
Yeah. And is there a website that people can go to and learn more about the whole thing?
Yeah, for sure. So humanityeffect.org is our website. You can learn about the nonprofit, a little bit about us, see the work that we're doing, and on Instagram, humanity.effect is the name.
Did you go to Nigeria with the plan of doing this, or were you just like taken aback by the place you visited? Wow.
Yeah. Latter. I visited, and then like a month later, I organized the GoFundMe, and then after that, I took off.
It's cool. Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. And you remind me again how old you are?
I'm 24.
24, and you've been to 192 countries.
Yeah.
You have one left.
One left.
A hard one.
Yeah, the hardest. North Korea.
I knew you were going to say that.
There's so many people here that have
192. I'm not alone.
Yeah.
I think Mette.
Mette
she's also
Rizzo.
192.
I've been there.
You went before COVID, obviously.
Yeah, in 2017 with Young Pioneers Tours.
How was it?
It was amazing. It was so interesting, and obviously they only show you what you want. They want you to see, and you can't even go for a walk outside the hotel without a guide. But we got to see a lot. Walked the streets, rode the subway. We even did a pub crawl. The tour was, and you're gonna love that. The tour was called St. Patrick's Day tour of North Korea. So we did a pub crawl for St. Patrick's Day.
On St. Patrick's Day, yeah.
Exactly.
Everyone loved the Irish.
Was there an Irish pub in Pyongyang?
I think one of the pubs we went to was an Irish pub, but it didn't really feel that Irish.
Yeah. It wasn't like people from Dublin working behind the bar.
No. It was quite interesting. So when do you think they're opening up in December?
We'll see. Supposedly there was like rumors, but there have been rumors for a couple of years now. The last kind of set of rumors was reported by like the mainstream media, so I think it had a little bit more credibility. But like if you look at what it was based on, it was based on like a tour company had said it. So it's we'll see. I mean, I think if it opens, it does, and if it happens for me, that's great. But I think a lot of people fixate. I mean, of course, the whole mission to visit all the countries is like a very, 193, but...
Yeah. You're American, but you also have another passport?
Yeah. I have an Iranian passport.
That helps.
Yeah, so we'll see. I'm not putting any pressure on it. We'll see.
No. You know this guy, he also has a bachelor's degree in finance and management and an MBA of the University of Miami. And then he has a background as a tennis journalist. That is such a weird background.
And you managed to travel to 192.
And runs an NGO.
Yeah, at the same time.
What's
I'm such a loser.
How many lives have you lived?
Yeah, exactly. And do you have a clone? So how did your experience writing for a tennis magazine shape your journey into global travel?
Yeah, so I went to a boarding school for tennis players for high school, and I wound up not playing college tennis. I had some injury issues with my right arm, but I loved the sport and I wanted to stay involved. And the owner of the academy was a former world #1 tennis player, and so he had a lot of connections, and I said, I want to work in tennis, I want to be involved in tennis. And so he kind of helped me organize internships at tournaments, and one of the internships I got was at a tennis magazine called Florida Tennis. So I was a contributing writer for them.
Yeah.
I would go to the tournaments, and that's how I started traveling actually in 2018. It's my gap year before college. I was Actually, here in Bangkok, more than 6 years ago, October 2018.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was writing for this magazine, working at tournaments. I worked for a professional tennis player for a little bit, and then when I started college, the hardest thing for me was not being able to travel as freely as I did during my gap year.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I owe tennis a lot. It's probably one of the, if not the single biggest reason I've started my mission to all the countries.
Yeah. You couldn't play, but you could write about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The Radio Vagabond. Gotta keep moving.
Ricky, you're British American.
Yes.
And you're fully nomadic like me, but unlike me, you're more into slow travel. I've started being more slow travel, but tell me about how your travel style is.
I think it's always been throughout my life. I was corrupted at a young age by being taken to South Africa and Germany, but I didn't just travel. It was more of a living situation, and then that really opened my mind to that there's other possibilities. And then from 2016, I've been traveling, but I would always spend a month, couple months, even 6 months in each country that I go to really immerse myself and learn the language and understand the culture better. I feel that you need at least a month to even scratch the surface.
Yeah.
To get into the local life and rhythm and markets and
exactly.
everything.
And when I look back, it's the places I've stayed the longest that has a bigger part in my heart. And then some where I thought, I was only there on a cruise, and I was like, I want to come back here. So I got a ton of countries that I really want to go back to and spend some longer quality time.
Well, it just helps you form a bigger picture too. Like you were saying about India, right? It's like there's positives and negatives of every country.
Exactly.
And if the more time you spend, the more you can learn and understand about it.
Yeah. Any examples where you really immersed yourself and it stood out as something that'll stick with you forever?
Well, I lived in Russia for over 5 years, and so I definitely would say that has given me a very deep insight and understanding that most people don't have from the West.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you speak Russian?
Yeah, I learned it from trial. Yeah, exactly. Trial and error, being forced into situations.
Self-taught Russian.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Self-taught Russian.
You're fully fluent?
Conversationally, generally, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, where in Russia did you live?
I lived in a couple regions. I lived in Lipetsk, which is near Voronezh, south of Moscow. I lived there for a couple of years, and then I took a train out to Siberia and lived in Irkutsk for a couple of years.
Irkutsk?
Irkutsk, yeah, next to Lake Baikal.
Coldest city in the world, right?
No, that's Yakutsk.
Oh, okay.
It's very similar, yeah. But Irkutsk, very, very beautiful place, and just fell in love,
And then you also travel to conflict zones?
Yes, that has been my bad habit, let's say. I've visited places that people wouldn't normally go, and sometimes I end up in them without even expecting. Like obviously I've been to Mexico and been to Afghanistan, Syria, but even sometimes like I would travel and I just end up in those situations. Like when I was just bouncing around Central Asia, and I traveled from Uzbekistan to Tajikistan.
Yeah.
And I traveled
did
along
that a couple of months ago.
Yeah, I traveled from Fergana, so along that northern route, to Khujand.
Okay.
And that road is highly contested with Kyrgyzstan, and they had a huge war at that time when I was traveling through, and I was with the taxi driver, and I just started seeing all these blown up gas stations and buildings. People, it was literally fighting as we were driving past, and it's just like, this is war going on, and so sometimes it's not even.
And you didn't even know that?
I didn't know that. Yeah.
Had you known, would you have done that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I have different, let's say, tolerance because I was in the army, so I also I know how to handle myself in such situations, and if there is attacks or whatever, I can.
Yeah. Were you in the British or American army?
American.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I didn't go there. I just went from Samarkand across the border and went to the Seven Lakes and saw some beautiful landscapes. And
No, that's the way to do it. I feel like I end up inadvertently always getting myself into trouble.
Yeah.
I'm very notorious being known as the shady one,
Yeah.
the dodgy one within the travel community.
So are you fully nomadic also? Or
Pretty much. I have bases around the world, and I try to keep stuff there, because that's why I was asking you earlier about stuff, because that always is the bane of my existence, where to store things.
So what do you mean you have bases?
Like homes or Airbnbs,
but
or family, one of the three, and I kind of bounce between those.
Okay, but do you have a resident address that says this is
in one country?
Depends who's asking, but wherever I need to be living, I can say it that I live. Actually,
And you store things in different countries, like you have.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to develop a system where I actually don't need to travel with very much. That everything I need is in each country. Okay. So I can bounce. If I go to the US, I have everything there that I need to travel around the Americas, and then I can leave it there and then travel to Europe and have everything that I need for Europe. So that helps. I'm trying to develop a system. I'm working on it. But
I'm going to work on that.
You can follow Palabo on his Facebook page. Join the conversation about traveling and being a digital nomad. You can also see pictures, videos, and stories that don't necessarily make it into the podcast. Simply search for the Radio Vagabond.
For all of you, how do you define adventure in travel? What's an experience that best represents adventure for you?
I think coming from the West, I see adventure as like anything that I'm really just not used to back home. Just like being away from modern comforts, I find it alone is just adventurous, because you have to work more and get yourself in true situations. Yeah. But I love outdoor adventure, hiking.
I think for me it's also goes with outdoors. Being outdoors, I like climbing mountains. So I've done a few.
Not just hiking, but climbing.
Climbing mountains.
So like rock climb?
Like high altitude mountains. Okay. So I think doing this kind of very risky expeditions is one very big adventure for me. It's something that I do while I'm traveling, but I think defines for me adventures, very high risking, high altitude mountains. Yeah.
You have an ambition of doing Mount Everest?
Yes. In a few years.
Wow. I have no ambition of doing that ever. No. Anyone else?
I just feel like it's anything that pushes you outside of your comfort zone.
Right.
Whether that's going to some very unknown or unfamiliar to your culture, different culture, and going on some crazy, tuk-tuk or whatever, or even just it could be in your own home, going climbing a mountain or going on some trip. It's something that usually it's a mission, and usually there's some sort of it's an unusual thing. That's what's an adventure, I would say, would be. Yeah.
Cameron?
Yeah, I would say it's kind of a sliding scale, right? Because when I started traveling 6 years ago, I mean, going to somewhere like Bangkok would be, a huge adventure, let's say. Something that's very, let's say, different to what I had experienced. But yeah, I think it's all about making yourself uncomfortable, right? So now an adventure might be going to somewhere a little bit more dangerous, or somewhere where, you have to problem solve a little bit. Logistics are more complicated. So I think it changes a little bit. But I think at the end of the day, it's more about just like what's pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. People always ask me, like, what is it to be a traveler? What are the qualities that you need to have? And I say, I think there are people that, maybe have visited every country who didn't get as much out of it. Like you can be, let's say, a traveler just in your own country, just pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, really, trying to meet people, explore curiously, and go beyond just seeing the typical tourist sites. So that's kind of my confusing, long-winded answer. Sorry.
Yeah. We're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk more about travel styles.
You are listening to the Radio Vagabond, We'll continue in just a bit.
As you know, I'm a digital nomad, and what I do when I'm not doing the Radio Vagabond is helping companies and individuals start their podcast and keep them podcasting.
Ever find yourself hitting rewind just to figure out how a podcast pulled you in?
Right. Like, what's the magic behind a story that truly resonates?
This is a guy who's been crafting compelling audio for decades.
And he's a bit of a perfectionist, isn't he?
He is, but it's not just about making things sound, like, clean, you know? He's not just getting rid of every breath. It's more about crafting the listening experience.
Yeah, it's like taking a raw sound file and turning it into a polished gem or something.
Exactly. He knows when to let a pause breathe, when to add a little music, when to bring in a sound effect to really heighten the impact. It's all very intentional, very strategic.
So basically, you come to him with an idea, and he can help you take it all the way to a fully launched podcast.
And what's really cool is that he's open to working with everyone. He's happy to collaborate with smaller companies and independent podcasters too.
So maybe it's time to dust off that podcast idea you've been sitting on. Or if you've already got a podcast, but you're looking to level up, really take it to the next level.
Well, sounds like Pally Go might be the guy to talk to.
And now, let's get back to the show.
We spoke about that we travel in different ways. Some travel fast, some stay in nice places, some stay in cheap places. Is there a right or a wrong way of travel, or is it just about personal preference?
Oh, I have an interesting insight on this because, I've been through two phases. I've been through a phase where I would stay in all the nice luxury hotels, 5-star hotels, and stay in resorts and relax. But I would get really lonely. And so now it's actually gone to trying to find that balance of actually having friends and connections in countries that I go to, whether that's staying in hostels to meet other travelers or staying with more local communities, homestays, or at least within maybe a small village, because that is also what humans we need, is that social connection rather than just staying in some corporate hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You all travel solo?
Yeah. I travel solo and I travel with my girlfriend. My girlfriend has been traveling with me for the past 2 years on this kind of long trip.
Same here. I travel often with a partner.
Yeah. Are you still together?
Yeah. She's I would call her a lurker in EPS. She doesn't want to go to every country in the world, but she finds it really fascinating.
Yeah.
And she's very much she has her places she wants to go to. So I keep, when we're together, to keep them trips, the ones that we can do together, and then the ones that she doesn't want to do, I'll do alone.
Yeah.
Which ones does she not want to do?
The places that would be quote unquote dangerous. Well, I've pushed her a little bit to do things that when I met her, I didn't think she'd do. Like, we were in Central America and I got her to go to Honduras, which would be seen one of the more dicier countries in the region. And she was happy, very comfortable, and she enjoyed it. So, and then I think that she didn't want to go. I was going to India initially and coming here to the festival alone, and then at the last minute she decided to come with me. So.
One question that we always get as travelers is, what's your favorite country, or your favorite, and what's your least? And I hate that one even more. So I'm not going to ask that, but I have another one. Is there anywhere that you've been to, but you wouldn't go back to? And why?
Yeah, a lot of places. I mean, look, I'll be super candid because I think it's important. I think that if you're not trying to visit every country in the world, there's a lot of countries that aren't necessarily worth going to, because you can find, whatever it is or better in another country, and the value for money a lot of times just isn't good, and it's not worth it. Like, if I wasn't trying to visit every country in the world, would I go to Togo? Would I go to...
Togo's great.
To Guinea? I mean, it depends what you're looking for, but I think... Yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of countries that I have no plans to go back to. Or even a lot of the European ones, right? Like Slovakia, for example, was a country I spent some time in. I didn't particularly enjoy, just because I just didn't find it super interesting for, seeing castles and I don't know. That's
Here's the thing that sometimes I'm thinking, I don't particularly like that. I don't need to go back. And then I share that and say, what do you mean? It's great. And then I think, okay, the countries that I loved, I want to go back to, and the countries I didn't love, I want to go back to find out what did I miss.
Yeah. Yeah, or like, I don't know, even Nauru or the Marshall Islands. Like, I don't know how many times you can go back and how many things you'll find that you missed out on. So,
yeah.
Well, some countries are bigger and smaller.
Yeah.
And I don't know, if you spend more time in each place, so then you don't have regrets too. Like, you know, if you spend, most countries give 30 days, so if you spend at least a month, you can...
Does that count Liechtenstein, Andorra, and...
Yeah, I mean,
30
I don't
days
like
in Nauru, man. That would be tough.
Well, this is the thing. I don't like people's perspectives, because when I was in Equatorial Guinea, I told people afterwards, like, oh, I'm just going to stay here for a couple of weeks. Everyone's like, oh, you're going to get bored. Like, what? And it's like, no. And I actually ended up having the greatest 2 weeks in my life, because the whole hotel was free. I went off in the jungles, met chimpanzees. You know, I ended up doing even more other adventures. But people sometimes... they assume boredom is bad, and I would say that only boring people get bored. You can always have fun, big or small, whatever the country.
Very subjective topic, I think, because the experience you have somewhere, I feel like, shapes your opinion on things. So you had a great time in Equatorial Guinea, but you might have went and been like, I hate this place. So that's it.
There's a couple countries.
So
I don't really want to go back.
It's interesting to hear what places people didn't enjoy, though, especially when you really enjoyed it. You're like, wow, how did you not like that place?
Yeah.
I think for me it's nice to use, for example, Nomad Mania to kind of understanding better places out of the traditional capitals or big cities, so you can go and explore waterfalls, jungles, or smaller villages that you wouldn't think about. So I think not every country revolves around its capital. It's nice to also go out, and also using Nomad Mania is one way to a bit of go out of the traditional path of each country, and I try to use that as a tool to go out of the beaten path.
Yeah, it pushes you to go to extra regions that you might not otherwise, which I am grateful for. Yeah.
This travel lifestyle, I'm sure a lot of people listening to this are thinking, oh, that sounds so fascinating, but I could never do it, and I really have no desire to just live on the road as much as we do. For those people, is there one thing that you could say to encourage them to take the leap and maybe go to if you're from Ireland or Denmark, go to another place than just Spain or Italy or Greece, to get out and a little bit out of the comfort zone?
Just go.
Okay, thank you. That's a wrap.
No, I think start off, like, if you're, because you will be nervous, especially going somewhere to a different culture that you're just not used to at all. I think if you just start off, dabble somewhere that is kind of different. Even for like Irish people, I see a lot more people now going to Eastern Europe, where it wasn't really a thing like 10 years ago.
No.
Like, people would just normally go to maybe the UK, Spain. Sometimes Paris will be seen as very exotic, like, but now I see people going to like Budapest and different things. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool that you're, and that will still be considered a very safe and comfortable place to visit.
Totally.
But yeah, I think if you start off slow, dabble your feet into it, see if you like it, and then go somewhere different. Keep pushing a little bit.
Yeah, that's also sometimes when people say, I say, don't do what I did. I sold everything and started traveling. I say, if you want to get your feet wet, keep your place, and then go try it out for a few months and see how it feels. Maybe it's not for you, because it's definitely not for everyone.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I don't do fully nomadic. Like, I'll have trips, I go for a couple months and then come back. Yeah, friends like you, fully nomadic. My friend Phil, he travels like 9 months a year, and then just goes home for a couple months. So even for me, like that level of travel is too intense. I think I would miss my friends home, and I think loneliness is something that a lot of solo travelers struggle with, especially like, you know, longer, more remote countries where you're not really meeting any foreigners and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's a question I think, you know, each person has to kind of answer for themselves and test out, you know, kind of find that line that you're comfortable with.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about it before with how do you connect with the locals or other travelers, but connecting with the locals is so cool. I was just a month in Japan, and it's hard because of the language barrier to really connect with the locals, and they're so quiet.
And you have to spend time there to, learn to immerse yourself in the culture in terms of even building that familiarity, taking classes, doing hobbies, even working there, then people can be like,
so can you give me some examples? You say taking classes.
Taking like hobbies, right? Like drawing or surfing, or
kind of doing what the everyday person does. Yeah.
Just living like a local, to rent a local apartment for the local prices, and really just building your own network and friends. It is possible in every country. It needs time, and I feel like a lot of people will only see you as a tourist. Unless you really put in the time to live there. It's like a test, right? Will you be here for more than a couple of months? Now I'll be his friend.
Yeah, and couchsurfing is such a great way because you get to stay with people that really want to meet a traveler, and they typically speak English no matter where you are.
Going back to your previous thing though about travel, I think that it depends on the person and their goals in life, because I feel like a lot of people, that's not their goal to travel. They're not interested. They have their work, they have their family. Yeah. Even if they don't have their work and family, that's not really what they want. No. They're like comfort. They want to travel, they want to relax, they want to go to a resort, they want to go to Spain or something that comfortable that they know. And that's fine. And I think even during COVID, there was a big push for travel within your own country.
Oh, like a staycation.
Staycation, that's what they call it.
Yeah.
That's the word. And that's great too, because so many people, even these big travelers, haven't even traveled in their own country. People from Arizona never been to Grand Canyon. People from the UK never visited Stonehenge. There's so much, even within your own country.
I've never kissed a Blarney Stone.
Yeah, well, there you go.
You what?
I've never kissed a Blarney Stone. There's like this stone in, I think it's in County Tipperary, and a lot of American people go to Ireland just to kiss this stone.
Oh!
But I've never been there to kiss the stone. It's like on top of like a castle, I think, and they go upside down and kiss the stone because I think it's like good luck.
Yeah. It's quite a famous thing to do in Ireland,
Oh, where is that located?
It's County Tipperary, so it's like 2.5 hours from Dublin, south.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you want to go kiss the Blarney Stone, it's a new thing you can put on your bucket list.
It's like a real thing. Yeah,
Might go and take pictures of people kissing the stone, because
that's kind of unhygienic.
You're listening to the Radio Vagabond podcast. If you're curious about his looks, check out the Radio Vagabond on TikTok or Instagram. Just remember what curiosity did to the cat.
A question for all of you. If you could teleport back to a place you've been just for a cup of coffee or a quick snack, where would that be?
Something nostalgic is what you're asking.
Yeah.
I think for me it would be Kabul in Afghanistan.
Where?
In Kabul, in Afghanistan. I really like the vibes of the city.
Yeah.
I was there during winter, so we had this special aura, I think, and the clothes and the cars and the motorcycles and everything just felt so magical that I would go there anytime just to have a little look at it again. Because as a photographer, I think it is just everywhere you look has a photo is amazing. So I think that's the place for me.
I think Tokyo for the first time.
Yeah.
I felt like that when I first got to Vietnam as well, but when I went to Tokyo, I was like, wow, I just want to stay here forever.
Yeah, yeah.
It's crazy, just the lights and
it's so different.
Yeah, it's a whole nother world, and it's so modern and organized, but it's also very conservative culture, and it's wild. And seeing the businessmen going in and
really making an effort of doing a good job.
Yeah, and they drop like hundreds on these like action figures, and they're all in suits. I'm like, I can't get my head around it.
No. I was staying at a capsule hotel, and guys only, and every day from 5 p.m. to midnight, they had an open bar, all kinds of alcohol, free drinks, and I counted 25 people in that room. And you could hear a pin drop. Nobody was communicating. And I just said, it's different.
Yeah.
But it's like, when do they speak?
Yeah.
Yeah.
the same in a lot of post-Soviet countries. You go to the train stations and it's quiet.
I was in a metro train in Tokyo standing shoulder to shoulder. It was packed and not a word. So quiet.
Different cultures is fascinating.
Sure. I would say, for me, I have two. I would say Baghdad would be the first. Iraq was the first country, one of the first kind of like off the beaten path countries that I had traveled to. And I remember I was walking around the night market, and like, you know, everyone saw. I'm Middle Eastern, so I look, you know, Middle Eastern, but they knew I was a foreigner, the way I was dressed. Maybe they heard me speak, and it's the first time I experienced that level of hospitality. Like, it wasn't a scam, you know. Like, here's some tea. Like, not as a scam. Like, it was more just very genuine. Everyone, you know, Iraqis have been through a lot over the last 20, 30 years. So I think for them to see a foreigner coming to their country is something excited. They take a lot of pride in. So that would be one. And then my second is also Tokyo. I remember the first night I was there, I was walking around the city and I just could not believe it. And Japan was actually like my 130 something country. Like it was well, you know, into my travels. But I just remember being like, wow, I've never been anywhere like this. This is just so amazing. And I just walked around, like kind of wandered.
You don't even really have to have a plan. It's just
it's just amazing. So those are my two.
Oh, I just have a soft spot for South Africa. So
me too.
Anytime, like Cape Town or
Cape Town is the only place outside of my home country where I could see myself staying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I love it there.
I can go back anytime. And happily, like you said, teleport just to relax for a little bit. It's definitely one of my top places.
I would say Cape Town is probably one of the greatest cities in the world. Top 5. It's always just top 5 when people ask me. I was lucky enough to get stuck there during the pandemic.
Oh, really?
So it's not the worst place to be stuck. Just before then, the lockdown came a day after I arrived. And just before that, I was in Cairo. And I'm just praising, thank you for not getting stuck there. I loved it, don't get me wrong, but it was just too hectic for me.
So how long were you in South Africa for?
9 months.
Wow.
And I have a ton of friends there because I've been there so much. And after 2.5 months, I had the beautiful apartment. I was going out of my mind because I wasn't traveling. So then I found out, okay, I can't leave the country, but I can move within Cape Town. So I moved 5 times within, so I'd still be packing and unpacking.
Move within South Africa or just
just within Cape Town?
Yeah, because I was going to say, good thing you got stuck in Cape Town and not like Joburg. Cape Town is much nicer.
When I got to Cape Town was right after the first or second lockdown, and I went to a hostel, and everyone knew each other already. They were living together for months. When I got there, it felt like they're in a family, and I was the odd one. But it was an amazing place to stay, and no tourists, and I was the only one just getting to this family, enjoying their evenings, having drinks with them. Cape Town is just an amazing city.
One final thing is, are you going to be traveling all your life? And when you've done 193, it's not the goal for everyone, but for you, Cameron, are you going to do it again?
Yeah, no, this is actually my second to last trip. So I just was in Laos. I came straight. That was my 192. And after this, I go home for a bit. I go to Nigeria for my nonprofit. And then after that, I settle down. I think travel will always be, in some capacity, part of my life, certainly more than most. But I can't imagine for the foreseeable future that I'll be doing month-long trips or anything like that. I'm looking forward to settling down and finding work in one place.
Maybe finally going and seeing Grand Canyon.
Explore a bit of my own country. America's very big. Obviously, there's a lot to see and do.
No, same here. I'm looking more to settle down.
Really?
After this trip, you can still travel within, I said, the country that you're in or that region. Just not to do, because over the past few years it's been too much Africa, then Europe, then Asia, then the US, and too much bouncing around. So I'd like to be a bit more centered within a geographic zone and a bit more stability.
Or jumping between your bases.
Yeah, well,
I think for me it's more of a life goal of continuous traveling. As a nomad, I like living many lives. I think I never adapted to one single place and wanted to settle there and stay forever. So I think for me it will be, yes, until the end of my life, I'm going to keep traveling and maybe way slower, maybe staying in some countries, in some cities for many months, a couple of years, but always with the goal of getting out of my comfort zone and going somewhere else that I can live a new life.
Mm-hmm. Adam?
So I'm going to be traveling until next summer, and then I'm going to base in Vietnam for a while, and I'm just going to keep going for the 193, and I'll just go at my own pace, dip in and out. I like to spend a bit longer wherever I go, so I'd rather spend 2 weeks in one country and not work, or say like 4 and work. So I'll see what way it goes. I'm not in a rush. No. I like to have that constant appetite to keep going and going and going. So dipping in and out. I'll go home for Christmas. I'll be home for a month, and then I'm going to Algeria, Argentina, Chile. So that will be my break, and then I'll have the appetite to go again. So I like to dip in and out.
Yeah. This has been so inspiring, and good on you, what you do, and got to keep moving.
Yep.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you very much
for having us.
This was a conversation recorded the day before the Extraordinary Travel Festival started in Bangkok. Before, during, and after the festival, I had the opportunity to sit down with some amazing travelers that I hope that you'll also find inspiring and interesting, even if you don't have any ambition to travel to every country in the world. So in this one, we had some amazing young travelers, and in the next interview episode, I'm sitting down with 4 incredible people in their senior years who've been exploring the world for decades. Their stories are also full of adventure and impact, from Anne London's days as a ship doctor helping patients across the globe.
You can mention any illness, and I've seen it on board.
Yeah.
Because everything is happening on a ship, and it's never boring.
To Jane Eagleson's journey through a war-torn Cambodia.
And then when I got to Angkor Wat and there were only 9 people there, I look back now and think, how lucky could I be? There was 9 of us. There were a couple of Indian archaeologists working there. Wow. And there was a guide that had been assigned to us.
You'll also meet Jeff Casey, who's traveled to 197 countries, territories, and autonomous regions, blending his aviation career with a passion for unique experiences.
So my job, the impetus was my job because I was traveling so much. But then it became sort of a thing between the 3 of us.
And Janet Heinz, who's biked across the Sahara Desert and nearly ran over Jimmy Carter.
So one day I was backing up the Bucky, and a man with a little speaker in his ear and the vest with all the pockets and came up to me, and he had a very Georgian Southern accent and said, Ma'am, you might want to stop because you're about to run over former President Carter.
These seasoned travelers have seen it all, and you won't want to miss their wisdom and wild tales. And if you're not so much into these interview episodes, don't worry, I'm also bringing you more of my regular travel episodes that you're getting in between these conversations from the Extraordinary Travel Festival. There's so much more to come. My name is Palabo, and I gotta keep moving. See ya.
Radio Vagabond.
Produced by RadioGuru.co.uk.